So when you're growing up as a kid, there are lots of little rituals and rites of passage along the way that can truly strike fear into the heart of a 5, 6, 8, 9-year-old kid. But the one rite of passage that I think is the most terrifying of all, that most of us have to go through, is that fateful time when one of your parents sits you down for a really long, uncomfortable conversation about the birds and the bees, the facts of life, how babies are made. My dad decided to sit me down for this one when we were in the garage one day, which I took as a great betrayal because the garage is my favorite place. That's where my dad brought me out, and we were a team. We would change the oil together. We'd swap brake pads. We were men, and we did not talk about gross things. And that particular day we were working on my car, not his. By that I mean we were working on my Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby car. So when you're 8 or 9 or 10, I don't know if you're any of you are Cub Scouts, you get a block of wood, you get 4 wheels, 2 axles, and you and your dad or your mom or your uncle, whoever, have to make that car as fast and slick and as beautiful as possible. And we were hard at work when my dad said, "So Mark, what do you say we talk a little bit about how babies are made?" Or some call it the facts of life. And I thought, oh no, this is where it happens. I'd been told by my friends, it's coming your way, man. My dad told me it's gross. You're not going to want to hear it. And I knew some parts of it that a man takes his this and he puts it in a woman's that, and it's disgusting. And isn't that where they pee and what? I don't want to know any about this, but I'm stuck. I cannot leave the garage. My dad knows it's my favorite place. So he begins. The worst part about it is my dad is a doctor. There's going to be a lot of medical detail in this story. So he gets right into it. He says, well, Mark, as you know, a man and a woman come together to make a baby. And a woman carries the baby in her womb through pregnancy, but it takes a man to get it all started. And I was like we're starting up an engine? What do we mean by this, Dad? And he continues on. He said, well, it's when a man and a woman decide they want to have children, they begin a process called lovemaking. Let's unpack that sentence. First off, it's a process. Is there paperwork involved? It sounds like something happens in a factory and there's heavy machinery and maybe some industrial lubricants, which is somewhat true. But we're making love. I thought we were making a baby. We're making love. Love's an abstract concept. It's in the air. I love my mom. What are we doing here? I'm already really confused and I want to go into the kitchen. But he continues on. So when they decide they want to begin the lovemaking process, they usually go into the bedroom and begin to take off their clothes. And I was already just closing my eyes and just hoping this would end soon or I would pass out. And he continues on. He says, then they get into bed naked. And because that's where it's, long pause, most comfortable. I was like, okay, so this is a very uncomfortable activity. I get it. They want to offset that by making it a comfortable place. And they keep going. And he's like, then there's some kissing, Mark, and some hugging. And then both adults get very excited. So I'm glad he didn't say aroused. But he said, you know that men and women have different reproductive organs, right, Mark? And I was like, I know what an organ is. An organ is a keyboard that a musician plays in a rock band or the guy at church. What, we got musical instruments involved in this thing now? I don't understand any of this. I thought this was a lot simpler. Well, a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. You know that's where they urinate, right? Yes, Dad. Okay, thank you. No, I don't need this level of detail. And he continues on. I said, well, after some time, the man's penis becomes very erect or stiff. You'll learn about this in time. Like a threat. I'm like, and it'll stay that way? This is terrifying information. I don't want to know. I'm looking down at the workbench we're on. There's some ear pads I could put on, a headset, or there's a drill. I was like, if I only knew how to operate that drill, I would just drill it into my earbuds and never have to hear another word of this. But he continues on. So then the man inserts his penis into the woman's vagina. And he goes like this. After some time, to avoid saying, a lot of back and forth and in and out, and he spares me this unpleasant information and says, the man ejaculates into the woman's vagina. And I'm like, oh, I think that's the end of the story. I'm saved. I can leave. We're done. But not with my dad, the doctor. There's many more steps he would like to explain. So he continues on saying, then The sperm from the man's ejaculate travels up the vaginal canal and through the cervix and into the uterus. And you may be asking, why does it go into the uterus? And I was like, no, I'm not asking that at all. I've got no more questions, Dad. I'm ready to wrap this up, if you are. And he continues on about fallopian tubes and the uterine lining and other things that I can't understand, but because I'm processing the realization that, wait a minute, this disgusting process you just explained is how I came into the world? You guys did this to make me? Oh wait, you did it 2 more times because I got 2 younger brothers. You guys did this 3 times? Then I realized all my friends down the street, their parents did this too, the Joneses. They seemed like such nice people, and they're doing this disgusting thing behind. I was really traumatized by it all. In time, I became a little more of a fan of this lovemaking process. However, to get past the trauma, that weekend I looked forward to one thing, the Pinewood Derby Cub Scout Championships, where my dad and I entered my car and we took 2nd place in the whole state, and that's the one fact of life I chose to remember the most.